Hey everyone, welcome to That's Peculiar. I'm Nathan.
I'm Andra.
And Andra has a show for you today.
I do, but first...
She has literally popped open a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah, I did. And it's the Spade and Sparrow, which is Caitlin Bristow from The Bachelor. She's also been on Dancing with the Stars.
Nope.
And Bachelorette, she had her own thing. Anyways, it's her label, and I feel like I should have done this when we were doing reality TV, but since it was your episode, I didn't even know. I'm just gonna say a couple things, okay? This is a rosé that has a cork. That's fun. It also says, put a cork in it, which kind of made me laugh. And it's pretty good, actually, for anyone who was curious, because I can't be the only person who was curious about this wine. It's actually really good. Kind of has like hints of strawberry. I don't know what kind of... Funny. It says great legs, full body, and wine's not bad either.
Wine's not bad either.
It's a pretty quirky bottle. It's 12.5% alcohol, but which is not... it's not amazing. It's not amazing for a rosé. So.
Are you drinking it cold?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was refrigerated.
Okay, I just had to make sure because
I wanted to bring it and like shout out the bottle and just talk about it for a minute, so I just brought it with me.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Nope, not yet. I do have a fun fact, really quick. I know, I'm sorry.
What is it?
So ketchup was once sold as medicine in the 1800s. Doctors believed tomatoes had medicinal properties.
I feel like I knew that at a deep level because you told me that and I said, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I've heard
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that before.
Or you've lived it in a past life.
Maybe
and they were
that too.
That's a health remedy.
Maybe.
So for all those people out there, such as my cousin's baby daddy who puts ketchup like on everything.
Well, now it's so full of sugar.
You can make your own.
But like fancy ketchup just has extra sugar in it. That's what makes it fancy.
What do you mean fancy ketchup? I make mine with honey.
Like if you go to like McDonald's and stuff, it says fancy ketchup, or anywhere it says fancy ketchup, it's just has more sugar in it.
I literally never knew that McDonald's had fancy. I would never believe that anyways.
Yeah, if the label says fancy ketchup, it's just more sugar.
Interesting.
Fun. Look, I had a fun fact too.
Yeah. Well, today we have a technically unsolved mystery.
Oh, an unsolved... Why is it technically an unsolved mystery?
You'll hear, but you might know this story. I don't know. We're talking about the Flannan Isle mystery.
Who?
Have you heard of Flannan Isle mystery?
No.
I meant to look up a couple of pronunciations. It's literally two. I actually have them greened. And this happened in Scotland. So if I say it wrong, I'm sorry.
Again with hard pronunciations.
I know. Why do I do this to myself?
I don't know.
So the Flannan Isle, I'm not even sure I'm saying that right. Isles.
Isle?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. It's Isles. Lighthouse. The Flannan Isles Lighthouse is a lighthouse near the highest point on, this is one of the pronunciations. It's Eileen, and it's more, but with a dash above. So I was going to say move or more.
It's called Eileen?
Dash. Yeah, Eilean.
Okay.
But it's the more, I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure it's
an O and a dash.
I'm pretty sure it's just more, isn't it?
That's what I was thinking, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, if I'm wrong, that's how I'm saying it. There's one more of those, so just bear with me. One of the Flannan Isle in the outer west coast of Scotland. So it's one of the like isles out there.
On the western side of Scotland.
Scotland, okay. Yeah. West coast of Scotland.
West coast.
Approval for the construction of a lighthouse on the Flannan Isles was received from the Board of Trade in 1896, but it wasn't until the 7th of December, 1899, that work began.
Oh,
So it didn't begin until the 7th of December, 1899.
why did they take so long?
I think it just had a lot of approval on, like, it's literally, if you look it up, it's in the middle of the ocean. So even to get supplies there probably took a lot of time. It's like a tiny little island.
That's so weird that it took like what, 3 years for them to actually start building?
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So the 23-meter, which is 75 feet.
Cute.
Yep.
The Americans made
Lighthouse
this.
was designed by David Allen Stevenson for the Northern Lighthouse Board, NLB. Construction between 1895 and 1899 was undertaken by Lawson of Rutherglen at a cost of its 1,899 euros, equivalent today to 277,066 euros.
To build a lighthouse.
Yeah, and that estimation was done in 2023.
Interesting.
So probably even more expensive now. Yeah, I'm like, should I buy land and build a lighthouse?
Apparently you can just live in a lighthouse.
Yeah, the lighthouse was first lit on the 7th of December, 1899.
Oh, so they did.
Sorry.
So they did build it before the 1899.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They did construction. What that was meaning is it didn't start running as a lighthouse.
Okay, so
until the 7th of December.
So it took them about 3 years to build it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that's what I knew that felt weird, and I was like, no, they started before that.
I was like, in the late 1800s, they sure do have a lot of bureaucratic red tape to go through to not build a whole lighthouse for 3 years.
Which they didn't. I think the biggest red tape was actually getting supplies there.
That would make sense, but for them to actually build it right off the bat and it take 3 years to build, I could see happening. Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
Yeah, sorry. So everything was going decently well until the very following year.
In 1900.
Yep, December 1900. I don't know why my 2 episodes, recent episodes, have been something with the 1900s. It's just coincidence. So it was on December 15th, almost exactly a year later, 1900, that the last entries for the lighthouse was noted by the keepers at Flannan Isle Lighthouse. Now, over 100 years later, what actually happened on that day remains a mystery.
Okay.
A mystery that has captured the imagination of the public ever since. I go into it in the end, but there's books about this. There's a film. Actually, it's called The Vanishing, which is released worldwide, but we'll talk about that later.
I've never heard of this lighthouse.
Yeah, me either. At the time, 3 lightkeepers were on duty at the lighthouse. James Ducat, principal lightkeeper, that's his duty. Thomas Marshall, assistant lightkeeper, and Donald Arthur.
Was he the assistant to the assistant?
Keeper. He's occasional keeper. And he was actually on duty for William Ross, who is the other assistant lightkeeper, but he was absent on sick leave. So they had the occasional keeper.
Okay, so of the 3 dudes, the assistant was out sick, and so the third runner-up was doing the assistant job.
Yeah.
Cool.
Basically.
Cool.
Okay. So one other assistant lightkeeper, Joseph Moore, was on shore duty, and this is the other word I needed to look up. I think it's brescalet. It's Breasclete. I think it's brescalet.
What's that mean?
No, that's the shore of where
that's
it's
the location.
It's a location. Okay. Yeah. So that's the other one I didn't look up, and I'm sorry.
Also, it's also hard if you don't have you also don't have a Scottish accent, which makes it all worse anyway.
Yeah, we have all nasal, not deep in the throat, you guys,
I
okay?
can't do it.
Yeah, I'm here. The first record that something was abnormal was on December 15th, 1990, or 1900.
19. Wow. I'm also, where are we
1900,
going?
yeah.
1900. Happy
Who
centennial.
who are we? Where are we? Yeah. When the steamer, it's Arctur on a passage, so that's the name of
Boat.
a steamer boat. Yeah, it was on passage from Philadelphia to Light. Noted in its log that the light was not operational in poor weather conditions. So like they didn't think anything of it. They were just like, "Yo,
The light's
light's
not
not
on.
working. Don't know what's up."
Gotta change that light bulb.
Yeah. So the disappearance of the keepers was only discovered as a result of the routine visit by the lighthouse tender Hesperus
Interesting.
on the 26th of December, 1900.
So 11 days,
So,
at least.
on the at least, yeah. Well,
Because you said it,
no.
December 15th was the first noted when the ship said their light was off.
Yeah, but they actually have a log. We'll go into it, but they
So they
actually
were
logged on the morning of the 15th. And
okay.
then yeah.
So they do like a
So,
daily log of what's going on around the.
yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And then they have like certain checklists and stuff. We'll go
Yeah,
into
and
it.
some dude was doing his coastal duty.
Yeah, he was just driving a boat through.
Okay.
And was just like, "Yo, light's not on. What's up?"
Yeah, no, the
And
steamer
then,
was like lights not on.
oh yeah, sorry, you were saying you'll see.
Okay.
We'll go into it. So Hesperus was doing a routine visit, and on the arrival, the crew of Hesperus, which is the name of the boat, and the relief keeper found that the flagpole had no flag. So they have like these duties that they have to do every day, and they were like,
It's like
"That's
routine."
Weird. Yeah. None of the usual provision boxes had been left on the landing stage for restocking, and none of the lighthouse keepers were there to welcome them ashore. Jim Harvey, the captain of the Hesperus, attempted to reach by like blowing the ship's whistle and firing a flare, but was unsuccessful.
Trying to get their attention.
Thinking, like, yeah, he was thinking like, oh, maybe they're busy. Like, we're here. We need a restock and everything. This didn't occur, as I said, until December 26th. So something was off by the 15th, and nobody actually checked it out until the 26th. The thing that I kind of find weird is we don't go into this actually, but like, what about their families? Were their families never like, I haven't seen them? They did live kind of a little further away, but I don't understand how the duty, like, when do they change for the next person?
So I think this is what I know now is if you are a lighthouse caretaker, I guess, is you go on for a certain amount of time and it's like an extended, and then you do a trade-off with someone.
See. So 11 days isn't weird.
No, I think it would be like months at a time that you'd be gone from your family, unless you have a lighthouse that, you know, your family could be there. But I'm pretty sure it's like lighthouse keepers, like a rotation, like you're gone for 6 months.
It's usually just the lighthouse. Okay, cool. I didn't know that, so just now I was thinking, like, that's such a strange thing, like, wouldn't their families notice? So a boat was launched, and Joseph Moore, the relief keeper, the one we mentioned that was on the other shore, he found the entrance gate to the compound and the main door. So, like, both of those were closed. The beds were unmade, and the clock was unwound. So, returning to the landing stage with this news, he then went back up to the lighthouse with Hesperus' second mate and a seaman. A further search revealed that the lamps had been cleaned and refilled. A set of oilskins was found, suggesting that one of the keepers had left the lighthouse without them, which it was like December. The water's crazy. Like you want those on. There was no sign of any of the keepers, neither inside the lighthouse nor on the island.
So they went in, they saw everything like prepped, like they were getting ready for the next day.
Right.
But so I'm assuming from what I know so far is that they cleaned everything, got the oils, got the lamps all ready for the next day, blew those out, did whatever, and then I think they were in bed when something happened in the middle of the night and they had to like get out of bed and they didn't make anything. Hey everyone! A quick interruption before the show continues. This is Nathan, and I have a huge favor to ask. Please leave us a rating and a review if you are enjoying the show to help us reach more listeners like you. We love bringing this podcast to you every week and are trying to learn how to make it even more enjoyable for our listeners. Thank you for your support.
I think it actually was the morning, is what I think they kind of established.
Interesting.
But it could have been night of the 14th, early morning 15th.
Oh, yeah, because
so that doesn't mean...
You said they did log something on the 15th.
Yeah.
Which we don't know
So
what
it
they logged
doesn't
yet because you
mean-
haven't told me.
Yeah, we'll get there. So from the archives of the National Records of Scotland, NRS, we can trace the correspondence detailing the investigation of the men's disappearance with letters written to the commissioners by Joseph Moore, one of the men that went missing, and a report submitted by the superintendent, Robert Muirhead, on the 8th of January, 1901. So from these, we know that the last entries in the keeper log were for the, 13th of December, but particulars for the 14th and the time of extinguishing the light on the 15th of December.
Oh.
So the last log was, the 13th, but they had
Other
stuff
stuff
happening that they could tell happened on the 14th
Okay.
and 15th. Along with the barometer and thermometer readings and the wind conditions at 9 a.m. on the 15th were all noted on a slate for transferring to the log later. Everything was in order. The lamp was clean, like we said, the fountains were full.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a little piece from the National Records of the NRS. Blinds on the windows and clear evidence of the work of the forenoon, so the previous day on the 15th, have been completed, all of which suggests the men disappeared the afternoon or morning of Saturday the 15th
Of the 15th.
December.
Because everything was logged like it was done.
Yeah, and also like certain tasks that they do at certain times had been completed. So Captain Harvey sent a telegram, that's the captain of the ship that went in, to the Northern Lighthouse Board dated 26th of December 1900, stated, "A dreadful accident has happened at the Flannans. The three keepers, Ducat, Marshall, and the occasional," that literally,
And the
says,
occasional,
not named, have disappeared from the island. The clocks were stopped and other signs indicated that the accident must have happened about a week ago. Poor fellows, they must have been blown over the cliffs or drowned trying to secure a crane.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Robert Muirhead's report, who he knew these guys and he was actually the recruit for most of these guys, and he went in and kind of investigated and did a detailing because that was his job. It's like he was like the top guy at the lighthouse. One of them left. So the iron railings round the crane platform and from the terminus of the tramway to the concrete steps up from the west landing were displaced and twisted. So these are iron railings that were displaced.
That's a lot of force.
Yeah. And twisted. A large block of stone weighing up to, I don't know what CWT is, but it's upwards of 20 CWT. I don't know what that is. Something
I think it's tonnage.
Yeah. had been dislodged from its position higher up
I'm a
and carried down.
dragons.
Yeah, I agree. That was also my first thought. Like 1,000%. I was like, ugh.
Dragons.
You know, you're trying to blow them up. You need to be nice to them,
Yeah.
like How to Train Your Dragon.
Exactly. Like they twisted your metal and broke big rocks.
Yeah. A life buoy was fastened to the railings along this path to be used in case of an emergency.
It was gone, wasn't it?
And it had disappeared. And they thought at first that it had been removed for the purpose of being used, but it was evident by like what was left of it. The force of the sea or whatever had happened pouring through the railings had at this point torn the life buoy off of the ropes.
Wow.
So like even if they wanted to use it, most likely what had occurred made it unusable. It tore it away. So the conclusion of the investigation suggests that the men had been caught by an unexpected large roller, which is a wave.
Oh, like a
That's
rogue
what they called
wave.
it. Yeah, and swept into the sea. Keeper James Ducat was survived by his wife and 4 children: Louisa 16, Robert 13, Annabella 9, and Arthur 6.
Aww.
Thomas Marshall was unmarried and had no children, but was survived by his father, brother, and sister. The correspondence records suggest that Donald MacArthur was survived by his wife and 2 children, who have not been definitively identified.
Why does the occasional get shafted so much?
I think they were just like, well, you're just here sometimes, so we don't need to know that much about you. But then something suggested in the records that he had a wife.
But they didn't care enough to find out. Okay.
He's not fully a part of the club. He's still
occasionally.
Like, we wear pink on Wednesdays and you didn't, so.
You can't sit with us.
Yeah. Okay, bringing light to this, but it's actually really sad.
Yeah.
That guy left a 6-year-old. The disappearances tarnished the lighthouse's reputation for many years, if not forever afterwards. I've read both. Like, some are like it never regained. Some just said like it really didn't.
Obviously I want to know what do they really think happened? Was that it? They think that a rogue wave came and washed them away? Bent metal, ruined rock?
That is not it. So the disappearances was all speculation since no one else was there on the location. But the men that went missing, however many theories and stories have emerged. Let's talk about some of those.
But they're just theories and there's no proof. There's no evidence.
That's exactly it. It's unsolved. It still is marked as unsolved.
That makes me uncomfy.
I do it on purpose. I know it makes you
uncomfortable. I want to know. I want to have answers.
I know. Trust me, I've thought about this like maybe more than what my headspace should have allowed. Because I've been like,
what could have happened?
Yeah, and even the last sentence I just said, like their reputation was tarnished. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, the reputation. I mean,
what does that mean for a lighthouse?
Does
that mean people don't want to work there? Or does that mean like people are like, oh, don't go to that lighthouse?
Weird things happen.
People die there,
and it's like it happened one time. Yeah.
So I've thought about that several times, and I'm like, what do you mean? But the disappearances, like we said, speculation. Let's talk about some of the stories. Over time, a story has developed of the existence of unusual logbook entries.
Okay, quick. I have to, because you said logbook, now I have to know, are you going to tell me what the logbook said that was weird?
Yes, but there's theories that it's not real.
Why would it be in the logbook? If they didn't...
There's theories that this has been forged.
By someone who was, they think it was forged by a person who was there, or think it was forged by a person who wasn't there and wanted to make it seem like something...
Wasn't there and wanted to make it seem...
Okay. I
like
accept.
something. But that's not necessarily true.
No, it's
It
not.
could have not been forged.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing is, the original report, this is why I think it's theorized and people think maybe it's fake and forged. There's no mention of this in the original
That
report.
they'd written something on the 15th.
That it was like weird.
Okay.
So, however, over time the story has developed and it's done based on these logbooks. They supposedly have Marshall saying on the 12th of December, supposedly, that there was severe winds, the likes of which I had never seen before in 20 years. That's the quote in the logbook.
From the 13th.
He also 12th.
12th.
Yeah.
Okay.
He also is said to have reported that Duquette had been very quiet and Donald MacArthur had been crying. Yeah.
Bro was crying.
MacArthur was a veteran mariner with a reputation for bawling, and thus it would be for brawling. Sorry, I read that wrong.
He's been known to
Not
cry
bawling.
anyway. It's fine.
So people thought it would be strange for him to be
Crying,
crying
yeah.
as a response to a storm. Log entries on the 13th of December were said to have stated that the storm was still raging and that all three men had been praying. This is also a puzzling statement. Did you have a question?
No, I was just like, if you're a mariner and you have PTSD, like you can go from wanting to fight everything to a storm upsetting you. I mean, it's just
You're just saying like this is valid if
yeah. I mean, if he was
cries.
if it was a mariner and he's seen some shit, it's like it. I could see him crying, but I don't know. People have unusual fears that make them cry.
Yeah.
Then you'd be like, why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I cry at like commercials, so nobody would question if I had a log of like I cried this day. They'd be like, check it out. So they said that they had all been praying. This was also puzzling to some people because all three men were experienced lighthouse keepers who knew they were in a secure structure 150 feet above sea level and should have known they were safe inside. Furthermore, there had been no reported storms, according to this log, in the area on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of December. The final log entry is said to have been made on the 15th of December, stating, storm ended, be calm, God is over all. However, an investigation by Mike Dash for the 14 Times revealed that the logbooks were fictional, later additions to add to the story. So that guy says they're fictional. They haven't been debunked fully.
So
that I found.
that's what I want to know is like, what did he do to make? How did he come to the conclusion that he thinks that they're fictional?
I think no matter what, it's hard. But what I read is basically the first and original reports. Didn't say anything about like, well, these men were struggling beforehand. Like it's noted in the logbook. From the original report, it seemed very like standard logs were made. Just like turn light on this day, did this time, like pretty standard.
But if something out of the norm is happening, like a severe storm or whatever his name is crying, I mean, I would want to log that and be like, dude, weird stuff's going on. I don't know. That's just I feel like what a logbook would be
why
for.
would they leave that out of the report?
Maybe
I think that's the whole point.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't think that was a big deal. I don't know.
Important.
But I think it would be
cry.
like if the crying's not important. It's the storm that's important.
Like big storm.
Yeah.
But that's why some people also think it could be because in the original report, it literally did say these men must have been washed away by a wave.
Yeah.
I
mean, that could have also come just because they didn't mention it in the original report. They could have seen it, and then because of the rain and the weather, it could have. But I mean, if the sea was calm, how would you get washed away?
Well, that's just what some are reporting. But
yeah.
However, if and when you look this up, and honestly, I'm going to post photos of it on our Instagram and we should post it on our TikTok. There's a map that shows where this is. It literally is deep in the sea. So even if the shore was calm, have you guys freaking been like on a boat, even like
No, but
a little bit out? Like they could be crazy.
if the logbook is accurate and not falsified,
Oh, I see.
it would be, and they said that the sea was calm. The sea would be calm.
On the 15th,
Yeah.
sea storm ended, sea calm,
Yes.
God is over.
Yes.
Then a rogue wave could have still happened. Like
yeah,
they said.
That's also true. Like they went out to like look at damage and stuff, and a rogue wave came out of nowhere and went whoop.
Yeah. Despite lengthy searches, though, no bodies have ever been found.
I am not surprised by that.
Well, yeah. And it remains unclear why one of the men appeared to leave the lighthouse in mid-December without his coat. One of the men, there was a coat left back.
If you're outside in mid-December, especially in Scotland, don't you want your jacket?
That's why it's the whatever skins from earlier. They haven't something skins, that's his coat. So a popular explanation, like one of the stories is, one of the keepers had murdered the other two before throwing himself into the sea in remorse. MacArthur, the brawler, was known to hate this posting and was known to be violent, but there was never enough to satisfy the conspiracy theories on that story. Okay, the other one. The 7 Flannan Isles were known as the 7 Hunters in the Middle Ages. And some speculated the phantoms of the 7 Hunters so resigned and resented the intrusion of the lighthouse. They lured the men to their deaths. Is that
what are the huntsmen supposed to be?
I don't know. Let's look it up. The 7 Hunters.
They just said the 7 Hunters.
I didn't dive into this.
Oh, I would have been curious what the 7 Hunters were, like if they were mythical creatures or I don't know, something.
Of course. You look it up and then the Flannan Isles pops up, but what is it? Supernatural beings is what they're said. Because it had originally been called, the islands had been called the 7 Hunters.
Okay.
Because, and it's believed that they were haunted by the phantom of the 7 Hunters. And that's what people called it.
Okay.
I didn't dive into it because it...
I understand why now. There's no answers.
Yeah. It's just kind of like... Another one is abduction by foreign spies, also known as aliens.
Oh, that's what that's what they're saying is aliens?
I read aliens way more than like Russia came and picked these guys up. Okay. Yeah. While others blamed a boat filled with ghost pirates. Yeah. Like, why not pirates?
I don't know. For me, it's the chunk of stone that fell from feet high. It was really heavy. Like, how did that fall down? How did that get dislodged? Right. How did the iron get bent? Like, why? Like, being abducted by aliens or Russia coming and picking them up. Like, what? How that's not accounting. These theories are not accounting for the physical facts of the situation.
That's why I didn't go into that. Yeah. But I would imagine a lot of people would think that, Russia might leave some evidence behind to
like a ransom note or something.
The opposite, to make them think that they just disappeared and went overboard.
Well, yeah, they could have actually fictionalized the logbooks and said, we're out of here.
Yeah.
They could have done that. I don't know. It's all hinky. Are there any other theories?
Yeah. No, those are the main theories. And like I said, I didn't dive into them because it still is unsolved. I have my own belief, obviously, and we'll go into that. But first, the disappearance of the lighthouse keepers will go into the pop culture. On Eileen Moore worked its way into pop culture as far back as 1912, when a ballad called Flannan Isles reported that the men had drowned had disturbed by something and ate their dinner. Like that's what the poem, as they ate their dinner, that's
Interesting.
what the poem said. The premise was used in a old Doctor Who episode, and it also inspired a chamber opera called The Lighthouse in 1979. So an opera, which is pretty
Huh.
freaking cool. In 1968, the British rock group Genesis, with Phil Collins, recorded a song titled The Mystery of Flannan Isle
Is
Lighthouse.
this really that big of a mystery in Scotland that it's really created this?
I think the ghost pirates picked them up. So everybody's like, dude, we have ghost pirates on the west end of Scotland.
So interesting. I think it's only because it's the mystery and nobody has answers.
I think, yeah, if bodies were found, they probably would have been
Oh
like,
yeah, if bodies were found, they would have been like, yeah.
yeah. In 2018, Gerard Butler produced a film titled The Vanishing, inspired by a true story, in quotes.
It loosely inspired, I'm sure. I don't think I've seen The
Yeah, he
Vanishing.
also, I haven't either, nor I want to, but he also played James Ducat, one of the ill-fated lighthouse keepers, so he's in it. But they do like a what if version of the incident.
Okay.
So I'm actually curious to watch it. I think I will. I'm gonna suggest that Jack and I watch
Oh,
it,
I'm gonna watch The Vanishing now.
and I'll report back. To be fair, I thought I had another week to watch it, but also to be fair, I forgot about it. So
I will be
I don't know
will
that
be
I would have
watching
watched
it.
it anyway.
I will be watching The
Yeah,
Vanishing.
I mean, I love Gerard Butler, and he produced the film,
And he's
which
in
is
it. Okay.
hey. um. So the conclusion I have: this is technically all labeled an unsolved mystery to this day. But what do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, it's an unsolved mystery. They literally have no bodies. They have no definitive answers. They literally have some twisted metal, fallen rock, and potentially fictionalized entries of
Logbook.
logbook. I'm
Yeah,
still going with dragons. I know there's no scorch marks or claw marks, but I can't think of anything else that would
that could
twist
twist the
twist
metal.
metal, rip a thing, break a big
Yeah.
piece of heavy rock off the side of a. I can't think of anything else. And I don't know. I don't know. Ghost pirates. I feel like they're not going to have the strength to do it either.
I don't know. Have you seen freaking
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the
Yes,
Caribbean?
obviously.
What if they shot their ghost monkey into the boulder?
I feel like if there was any sort of like gunfire or anything, there would be like a cannon. There would be scorch marks, or
Residue.
or the cannonball would be wedged in there or nearby. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
so many. I don't know.
Nate.
But also my thing too. Sorry, I'm like my brain's going a
No, it's
million miles
good.
per hour. If one person like left their coat and the other two had gone out, there could have been some sort of commotion with the waves. I don't know. I don't know how strong a rogue wave is. That
I think so
if
strong.
it can destroy, but they're also 150 feet up over the water. So I'm wondering how big a rogue wave would have to be to actually smash into.
That's the thing. Like some of their duties aren't all the way up in the lighthouse,
Well, I
right?
mean, even if like the rock, let's say the rock is the base of the rock goes to 150, and then you have the lighthouse that goes on top of it. Depending on how big the rogue wave was, somebody could have been two of them could have been doing duties. One got washed over. One was going to try and help, heard shouting, didn't have enough time to grab his coat. A rogue wave came again and then took the other two out and ripped the life buoy off of the thing.
That literally is the most suggested answer.
That's the only one that makes sense considering that someone left their coat inside in
Yeah.
the middle of winter.
Yeah, that I mean you basically summed up what I believe.
Okay.
There's strange things about like the weather and all of that, but I'm just not sure I believe it. I think that there could have been more happening on this Flannan Isle than like what is noted. Like you're on ashore, but like the thing about the ocean is there could be a storm like a couple miles away from you and you're not feeling it. Like that just is kind of
Yeah,
how
and a rogue wave
all of that
and a rogue
works.
wave is literally just that. It's an unexplained, random, huge wave.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Yeah.
You can't plan for it.
And this is literally Christmas time, so prime winter.
Yeah. And I could see a storm happening and then a big wave coming out of it and just barreling through the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I believe. I almost actually kind of wonder because they said the like restock bins and stuff weren't out. I kind of wonder if like maybe they were bringing out the restock bins and maybe that's kind of what tore through.
Something washed that away, and then there was screaming and shouting, and the other guy was like, "Oh, I gotta get out there and help."
Yeah. That's what
I think too. That's the one that
not
makes
dragons.
sense. Yeah, I know dragons would be fun, but that's not. Yeah. So.
I mean, 1900s.
1900s. Well, that was a fun episode. The mystery of I can't say that name. What is it? Flannan Isles. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, I mean, thank you for sharing. Make sure to... Now we have our social media kind of going. So we actually have TikTok and Instagram if you want to follow us on those. Yeah. Instagram is at That's Peculiar Pod. And then our TikTok is That's Peculiar Pod as well.
Look out also for a link that says contact us.
Oh yeah.
That's a new feature we just added.
If you listen to it on Spotify, or I believe it's also Apple Podcasts, there is a link that you can click that says text us. It'll shoot us a little fan mail message. And then if you want to, at the bottom of that, there's also a link to support our show. And you can support us for like $1 a month if you want to, so we can if you want to. No big deal. But yeah, check those out.
Also, we're on iHeart too now.
Wherever you get podcasts at this point.
Even Amazon.
Yeah, we're listed on Amazon.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. We just had a little fun fact to end this episode with. We just got a download in Hamburg, Germany.
Fun stuff. All right, we'll see you next week on That's Peculiar. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on That's Peculiar. Please take a moment to rate and review the show and maybe hit that follow button. Follow us on socials, our That's Peculiar Pod on Instagram and TikTok. See you next week.